Yo, what's up? And welcome to episode 118 of Throwback Hoops. My name is Rob Clayton, and joining me is Little Cat, aka Woody V.
Little Cat, I like that, man. Yeah, we could have got Big Cat to step up a little bit more today, right? But sad day for the Australian basketball, sad week for the Australian basketball fraternity, but it's good to be here, man.
That's right. Yeah, we've definitely got a bit of a mixed show today. I think we're going to, definitely talk about what you spoke about before. I'm loving seeing the jersey you're wearing, and after that we'll sort of get into some, more upbeat and fun stuff and talk about the playoffs. But good stuff. Well, look, just as we start off every week, just a reminder, please make sure you like, rate, and subscribe on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Really appreciate everyone's support. And Woods, as always, we'll start off with a jersey. I know this is a jersey, I think you wore it maybe on episode 86 from my little fact-checking there. But, what do you got for us today?
And I'm just stand up, but it's very fitting that I have to wear this jersey again today.
Yeah, so Woods is rocking the old-school Townsville Crocs, Corey Homicide Williams jersey. So, beautiful jersey, that one. It was definitely worth him wearing it a second time.
Yeah, and I mean, we'll get into it a little bit later in the show, so rather than reflecting on the life of the great man now, we'll get to that soon. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what jersey?
I'll tell you a good story about that, though. Good memory, Would say. I think I might have mentioned it last time you were on. I remember you clearly wearing that on my Bucks party weekend. So we went to the horse races that day and then came back to mine, and everyone decided to destroy my house. Luckily, it was my old house. And I distinctively remember you not only wearing that, but also doing a rap in front of about 20 people. That was pretty good. So, and that's going back to like 2009. So that shows you, how long you've been a fan of this guy. So, we'll start off with part one, talking about Homicide today. So looking forward to hear your words about him, Woods. Look, in terms of my jersey, I think I might start off with Woods. I am wearing a hat for the second time in probably 118 episodes, I think. It wasn't to try and match with my shirt. It was just because my hair is looking ridiculous today and I need a haircut. So thought I'd rock the Wildcats hat. I know you're liking that one there. This was the hat.
You're trying to match me with the man bun. Is that what you're saying?
It's looking more like a cockatoo at the moment. But this is the hat that, of course, travelled in every bag I went to when we went on our trip recently. I never actually wore it the whole holiday, so I thought I might as well get it out. So it's a nice-looking Wildcat. So thought I'd represent the NBL's most successful ever team. Look, in terms of a jersey, I'll just stand up and show you the one I'm rocking today. Another random one. That's how we like to do it. So I'll show you what I'm wearing today.
And for those who can't see, Robbie's wearing the Houston Rockets jersey of the man himself, the handsome Chandler Parsons.
Like that one, Rob?
I said handsome Chandler.
Yeah, Parsons. I've got that in my notes, handsome Chandler. Funny enough, Woods, I've had this jersey for ages. I mean, it's been ages since he played with Houston. It still had the tag on when I got it off the hanger today, so I've obviously never worn this one. So, a bit of a blast from the past, and a little bit on, as you said, the man that the No Dunks crew affectionately dubbed Handsome Chandler. So this is a red Adidas Houston Rockets jersey. So look a little bit on Mr. Parsons. He was drafted out of Florida at pick 38 in the second round of the 2011 draft by Houston. Went on to play 9 seasons with stints with the Rockets, Dallas, Memphis, and then finished off his career with 5 games with what team, Woods?
Atlanta
in 2019. So, amazingly enough, he's still only 35 years of age, which is pretty crazy to think. And of course, those that don't know, I mean, he had a real sort of cult following. He had some really good seasons. I think he was more than a 3-and-D player, wasn't he? He got a pretty big contract there. He could certainly shoot, get to the basket well. He was a highly skilled player. Unfortunately, his career was cut short due to the impacts of a car accident he suffered when he was hit by a drunk driver. So I believe he was coming home, it was the middle of the day, I think from memory. He was coming home from a practice there and a drunk driver slammed into him. Look, it was a pretty bad injury there. He had acquired brain injury there. He also had a back injury and some concussion issues there. So I believe they sued the driver at fault there, and he got a pretty substantial payout when you consider, the lost earnings that he would have suffered for someone in his position there. So, as I mentioned, only 35. He's still involved in the game. He's doing a lot of analyst work. One of those players that doesn't mind giving a hot take on the game there, Wood.
For sure.
which I like. He's not coming out and sucking up to all the players. If he's sort of got something to say, he will say it. So I quite
Speaking
like
of hot takes, I think we're both wearing jerseys of men who like to give their hot takes, right?
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right. So, yeah, a little bit about Chandler Parsons. I was a big fan of that guy back in the day, Woods, hence me getting this random Rockets jersey. Look, 9-year career as a second rounder there. I think he was actually drafted by Houston, traded on draft night to Minnesota in like a Johnny Flynn type trade, then traded back to Houston, which was weird. And then I think they might have, basically just as a second rounder, he sort of had to really earn his spot on the team there. So what were your memories on Chandler Parsons, apart from him being so handsome, of course?
I just thought that he'd be the guy who'd be the most popular guy in college, most popular guy in high school, get all the girls, right? And he could also play basketball. But that Houston Rockets initial phase that he had, the Houston Rockets, was extremely promising.
Yeah.
He then got paid a lot, in his secondary contract. Like
by Dallas, right? You got the money, didn't you?
Right? Mark Cuban really, there's a whole, talk of him and Mark Cuban, in a nightclub late at night having drinks and Mark Cuban offering him that contract. But, often the thing is when you get paid so heavily, you have that monkey on your back to try and, justify that money that you're getting paid. And he was hit by that a little bit. And we didn't see the progression that, we thought we would see, potentially becoming an all-star one day. But if you look back on his career, he earned a lot of money. He's lucky to be alive, as you said, with that accident that he had.
Very lucky, yeah. He had a lot of money. It was well said. I think I checked it today. I think it was well over like the 140, 150 million mark. So he definitely got paid there. And look, you're right. Obviously, that injury, happened when he was with the Hawks. The car accident did end his career. But yeah, it was a little bit on the tailspin before that, wasn't he? He had a few little random injuries here and there. But yeah, his game didn't quite progress, did it? He got the money and not quite sure what happened. Then he got the bag, as they say, and then perhaps didn't progress to what everyone thought he was. But still, pretty solid 9-year career. Obviously, still involved in the game now, which is pretty cool. So, bit of a trip down lane with Chandler Parsons. Nice one.
I like it, man. Yeah.
Nice. All right. And I'll tell you, Woods, I'm still got basically all my jerseys on some of the couches. I'm getting a custom wardrobe built 1 week from now. So all my jerseys are going to be in some sort of order put away. So I must admit, I looked for the nearest red T-shirt today and then wrote a little bit about him. So I'll come a little bit more prepared, but hopefully that was a bit of a background for maybe people that aren't familiar with Chandler Parsons' game there. So, all right, well, look, as you mentioned, Woods, it has been a very tragic week in Australian basketball in general there. So what we thought we'd do, before we sort of get into a lot of NBA talk, it's going to be a pretty heavy NBA episode like it was last week with the playoffs in full effect there. We thought we'd start our first part of the show today with a little bit of chat on background on Homicide there. And I thought no better person to do it than yourself, someone that's been a massive fan of this guy since pretty much the day he arrived on our shores here. So I thought I'd throw it over to you. Maybe talk to us a little bit about what Corey Williams meant to you, Woods, and maybe talk about some memories that you've got of the great man.
Yeah, do you want to start there? Do you want me to sort of give some sort of background?
Yeah, of course, a bit of background. So maybe if anyone's listening to it and they don't know his story, maybe they weren't massive NBL fans or anything like that, talk to us a little bit about his background and then talk to us a bit more about what he meant to you.
Well, born as Kerry Williams, he changed his name to Corey in middle school after being teased in elementary school, right? He was born on August 3rd, 1977, and he died last week on the 10th of May, 2024 at the age of 46. He went to Rice High School in New York. He went to college at Penn Valley and then Alabama State. And after going undrafted in the 1999 NBA draft, he took to the roots of becoming one of the best street ballers in the world, right?
Yeah.
Hailing from the streets of New York, specifically Rucker Park. He played against the likes of Ron Artest, Stephon Marbury, all those New York legends. And you know what they say in New York, you don't really need a jump shot if you can attack the rim. The wind's out there and it's always hard on those outdoor courts to hit those jump shots. So, he was he just loved attacking the rim and getting to the basket, being able to finish in a variety of different ways, extremely skillful, finishing at pace. And he got the nickname Homicide because he'd kill you off the dribble and be able to, get to the butter and score. Despite all of that, he had some standout games where he, I think he dropped 27, I think got 30 in a street ball game on Ron Artest, and the NBA scouts took notice of him there, where he went to summer league, made the initial roster, the training camp roster, and nearly made the league, and that would have been a great story. Someone who went through that street ball route to get to the NBA. After that,
he got really close with maybe Toronto, was it, Woods, from memory? I know there's photos of online with him in those preseason jerseys, so he's got the NBA jersey on and that. And yeah, I think it was definitely one of those cases of kind of one of the last guys cut on the team sort of thing. So yeah,
and after that, he just developed a really good career playing overseas. As you say, there's only 450 spots in the NBA, right? So you've got a lot of these guys in America, whether they come through the college, street ball, straight out of high school route, that ply their trade overseas for many years and earn a good living, right? So he did that across 7-8 different countries, right? And I think after moving around for a while, he found a home in Australia with the Townsville Crocodiles, where he was club MVP, spent 3 years with the Townsville Crocs, and then 1 year with Melbourne United, and then came back as a broadcaster for many years here. And, he would have been familiar to all our listeners. And yeah.
Hey, Woods, tell me, was there a break in between that time with him with the Crocs and Melbourne, or did it basically just go into the next season? I can't quite remember that. I know obviously he finished with Melbourne in the NBL, but can you recall that, whether there was actually a break there? Or?
Yeah, so 2007 to 2010 with the Townsville Crocodiles, and then he got called in, I think, 7 or 8 games into the next season. So he missed the initial part of the next season with the Tigers. And then, as I was saying before, he forged a great media career, in the aftermath of his playing days. He still played overseas for a few years after Melbourne, and really took on the mantle, I think, around 2016-17 circa. And then for the last 6 or 7 years, he's been on our screens with his hot takes and his bravado, and just entertained all of us. And he called Australia home. That's the thing.
Absolutely.
He was very sick. He got diagnosed 9 months ago. And he got treatment in New York and decided to come back to his adopted home, Australia, to try and recover. And he, from all reports, much in the spirit of Homicide, he fought till the very end.
Yeah.
But it's just, it's sad, and it's a warning to all of us. I heard Andrew Bogut say on his podcast today, if you're feeling slightly unwell or have any issues, it's important that all of us, everyone listening to this, gets their checkups done regularly. If it's an all-body checkup, once a year with your doctor, or you're feeling slightly unwell, go visit your doctor, because Corey was feeling tired. You would have heard on Peter Hooley's podcast, he was saying he was feeling tired and fatigued. Yeah. And initially, he was just thought he was tired from working too hard and was adverse to getting an opinion. And sometimes, if you let that wait, it could be too late. Not that you can do much when you've got stage 4 cancer.
Yeah, but it's sometimes that guy thing, though, isn't it, Woods? You're just like, maybe I'll sort of snap through this. What's the doctor going to do? It's kind of that, almost that she'll be right sort of Aussie mentality sort of thing. But yeah, you're right. We're not sure whether that would have made a difference had he sort of gone and seen a doctor earlier there. But I like what you said as well, the hot takes. It feels like to me he was someone probably a little bit of the outside looking in, given we're sort of, I guess we're in the media, but we're not, close with sort of the people that were involved with him. I think people didn't always agree with his hot takes, but people always respected them, right? They knew sort of how much he knew about the game. He put in the time, knowing all these players, knowing all these teams. So I think that was a good thing about him. He wasn't afraid to speak. You talked about it at the start, 2 guys that, were pretty big on the hot takes there, but he would stay with his beliefs there. If you believed in something, he'd speak it, sort of thing, and he always spoke what it was words that were true to him. So it's a really sad moment, isn't it? It's been quite touching reading some of the tributes from some of the players and people that work with Homicide over the years, and some people we've got to know as well. Whether you're talking guys like Liam Santamaria or Gazy or even Jack Heverin, guys like that we've got to know, that obviously knew him really well, and hearing what they had to say. So it's been great sort of getting that little bit of a background from you. Like I said, maybe not everyone knows Homicide's story. Tell me more on a positive side, though, Woods. What were some of the things that you probably remember from watching him over the years, and things that have sort of stuck with you?
Well, I remember in the 2007 season, the Townsville Crocodiles had Roselle Ellis and Galen Young as their 2 imports. Back then, you were only allowed 2 imports, and Roselle Ellis went down with injury very early in the season, a season-ending injury, right? And I saw a notification that they're getting street ball legend Corey Homicide Williams to come and play for the Townsville Crocodiles. And I did a bit of research, looked him up. The first game I still remember that he played was on a Thursday night in New Zealand, one of those early games at 5:30. He used to play on that really dark brown court. You remember?
Yeah, I remember that one, yeah.
And straight away, his ability to put the ball on the floor and attack the rim coast to coast. And a bit like Lance Stevenson, that kind of game that he had, right?
He was a big guard, wasn't he? Yeah, like he definitely had that size and strength about him and able to get to the ring. And you're right with what you said. He certainly never, filled it up from the outside, but he didn't need to, did he? He just knew how to pick his spots and sort of get to the rim and obviously set up his teammates.
Yes, and some moments I'll point out is about a week after that, I think a week or two after that, the Crocodiles came to visit Sydney, and a whole heap of boys from Townsville had come, and we were having beers in the bar before the game and everything, and we're talking about this guy called Homicide. They're like, "We've got the homicidal maniac, man. He's awesome," and they were just like so excited to have someone who brought that energy to their team, and they were talking about their hopes with Galen Young and him. Rest in peace to both Galen Young and Corey Williams as well. Galen Young obviously passed away not too long ago either, so we got that starting import duo from the Townsville Crocodiles from 2007, both no longer with us. So at least he's with his brother up there, So.
And tell me, was that MVP season? Was that his first season, or was it the second season that you got that?
No, that MVP was, I think, might have been his. It was his second season.
It was the second season, yeah, and that's an amazing effort. I mean, he'll always be in those.
Actually, he was his third season, man.
His third, okay. So, like you said, the first season he came in a little bit, after the injury sort of thing. But yeah, I mean, he'll always be remembered as an NBL MVP, right? There's,
Yep. Yeah. And I just remember one thing I remember the most as a player. Let's talk about him as a player. Was that final series against Perth, right? I think it was 4-1 from memory.
Definitely remember that.
And they came into RAC Arena, and Homicide put the team on his back, man. Put the team on his back. And you remember that last play where he normally I would say you don't shoot it when you've won the game, but he got a steal and they were already up by 1, and he finished off the game with a dunk, and he just ran to the Red Army, took his shirt off, and just started carrying on. And
that's an iconic moment, isn't it, that one?
When the reporter, yeah, exactly. And when the reporters came into the locker room afterwards, they did a little interview with him and all the other players, and he was like, "Shout out to Kelvin Robertson, Brad Williamson, Rusty Hinder, John Riley. This is Croc Nation, Croc Nation." He just kept going on and on, and the NBL was in a state of flux in 2007, right? We were in that little period where the heyday of the 90s had passed, and we were struggling for TV rights and coverage. And some
of the big teams had dropped out, right, in Brisbane and sort of Sydney around that era as well.
People, for sure. And people were struggling. The teams are struggling to stay afloat, and people would laugh at the NBL shit. Why would you watch that? You had the attitude has changed so much over the last 17 years. I've got a reason to say that. There's a reason I'm saying this now, right? Because I'll set it up for what I'm going to say a little bit later. But we needed characters in the league. We needed people to come in who would have a bit of bravado and personality and be eccentric, right? Yeah. And these personalities is what makes the league what they are. You had your Dwayne McLeans and your Wayne McDaniels in the 90s. Just like that, Homicide started a wave of characters coming into the league. And so he helped with that. And in his post-playing career, he was able to then, from the league being in a state of flux, bring that same bravado to the work that he did, on the microphone, right? Someone with hot takes, someone who didn't always say things that people wanted to hear, but was very honest with his opinions and didn't care about what people thought, right? So he helped not only bring a character into the league, but after retirement, he helped take the league to the next level, to where it is today, right?
Yeah.
And now, when he started his relationship with the league in 2007 to just before he passed away, the league's now in a position where it's one of the most popular leagues in the world. Money's behind it, ESPN rights, all our games going to USA, the Next Stars program, and what he's done for this country, this country loves him, and he loved this country too, right?
Absolutely.
And what he's done, it can't be understated, the contribution he's had. And we didn't know him at all, but we feel like we know him from all these years, right? And the positive impact he had on so many people's lives, as I said on Twitter, it's just amazing. And it's just really sad. 46, gone too soon, and he'll always be remembered. And as I said, this jersey will always hang in my closet with pride. Yeah.
Great words, Woods. And look, at the same with those posts you put on Twitter this week. They really came from the heart and everything else like that. Look, I think probably two things. On the same age as Homicide, it hits home with me. It obviously hits home with you, with cancer affecting your family as well. So, look, I don't really have anything else to add, really. I think you've summed it up really well. You've given that little bit of a background. showed what he meant to you and everything else like that. So, yeah, a really sad week for Australian basketball, losing a legend of the game. And, yeah, just a real big RIP to Corey Homicide Williams. We'll always remember you, mate.
You'll always be remembered.
Yeah. Well said, Woods. All right. Well, look, as I said, we'd sort of get that part of the show out. I think we're both getting a little bit choked up sort of talking about that, but let's get into a more positive sort of mode now as well, Woods. The playoffs are heating up, aren't they? I've really enjoyed this second round. There's been some interesting results. What I thought we'd do, similar to last week, is we'll just go a little bit through each series now, right? So at the time of recording, it is Wednesday, the 15th of May. So what I thought we might do, obviously with the 4 series, we might start off with the East, right?
Okay.
So at the time of recording, New York and Indiana. New York have got a 3-2 lead after their big 30-point win today. In the other series, Boston and the Cavs, it's currently the Celtics 3-1. So maybe let's start off with this interesting Knicks versus Pacers series, Woods. What have you thought of it so far?
Yeah, well, I've spoken about it in the past. Coach Tibbs, playing these guys a lot of minutes. I thought that, it would have to be in a 5-game series that New York would win, because if it went to 6 or 7 games, I felt that some of these guys would get tired or, injured. We've already seen the injury bug hit them with OG Anunoby out, Mitchell Robinson out. And they've had to,
as well, yeah.
Bogdanovic is out. I mean, that was before the playoffs even started. But yeah, I mean, those two have been added to the injury list. Jalen Brunson a little bit banged up. And Indiana fought back and won, the game 3 and game 4 with relative ease.
Yeah.
But today with that New York crowd there, getting right behind them, what a great crowd! So many big names in the crowd today. It just felt like you wanted to be there.
Yeah.
They found something. 44 points for Jalen Brunson today, 18 from 35 field goal attempts, and I think that it's still going to go to 7 games. I still can't pick it. I think Indiana's probably going to go home and get the job done in game 6.
Yeah.
And you got to think in a game 7, are these Knicks going to be a bit weary playing all these minutes, right? Can Indiana? I'm going to say Indiana in 7. All right, I'm just going to go out there and say Indiana in 7.
Interesting. Look, I watched quite a bit of that game today, Woods. Jalen Brunson is just a killer. Look, I'm not saying anything that people don't know already. He's had that many 40-plus games in this playoff series already. Love his offensive game, right? I love watching the little left-handers. He's very strong-bodied there, but he can score from anywhere, right? He can shoot it from the outside. He can get to the basket. He can float in the air. Also thought he made some good decisions today. There was times where the Pacers threw double teams at him, and he'd sort of he'd pass to someone that was open, who'd then pass to someone that was more open. It was kind of that chain effect there, and they were getting some easy layups at the rim and stuff like that. And yeah, he's got to lead this team. Hopefully they get Anunoby back soon, because he's a big, important cog for that team there. But you think of this team though, Woods, if they had guys like Bogdanovic, my boy Julius Randle, NBA All-Star Julius Randle, I mean, they would potentially be an NBA, finals favourite almost if they had a full team. As crazy as that is to say that, but I think I'm still going to tip them to get through to the conference finals. I think they'll have enough there. Hopefully my boy Josh Hart fires up. Did you see the tip-in dunk by Dante DiVincenzo today? That was good. The garden lifted when he got that one. And yeah, I love that whole game day thing. Like we talked about it today, Woods. We like watching the games through League Pass rather than Foxtel and that. And you don't get ads in those things. You get the in-game entertainment. You hear all the stuff going on. And DJ, what was his name? That guy? Did you the Knicks DJ?
I can't remember. I know you're talking about.
He was cool though, yeah. And so yeah, just hearing that sort of stuff and seeing all the celebrities in the crowd, it was good. So I'd love to see them at least make an Eastern Conference Finals. Shout out to the Pacers though, right? They've been playing really well. Someone different seems to step up every time. This was that classic example of a series that got really chippy today, right? So these teams have played, 5 games in a week and a half, and you could tell today there was a lot of people firing up. There was a lot of video coaches' challenges in this game. It seemed to last quite a while, but I think we'll see a bit more of that in these next 2 games. Probably see guys getting a little bit more impatient with each other there, but hopefully we'll start getting some more close games, right? Because these last 3,
last 2 anyway, 32 points. Indiana won game 4 by, from memory, and 30 points. New York won today. Let me throw you one question before we move on to the next series. There's a notion from a lot of Indiana fans. Our good friend Phelpsy actually reached out to me today about the way the game's being refereed at the Garden. It's almost like the refs feel, because of the crowd and the atmosphere in New York, that New York get the right end of the whistle. Let's say. Do you feel that that's what's happening in this series a little bit?
I've got to say, I didn't notice it too much today, but yeah, definitely there were some times in, especially those first two games. I agree. I think Indiana maybe sent something into the league, and there was 84 examples of calls. 84 was like, I wonder what the league thought of that when they had to review all that stuff there. Yeah, I think you're probably right. I think there's definitely some truthness in that. The NBA wants to see these big teams in big markets succeed. I think we joked about offline. Imagine it ended up being an Indiana versus Minnesota, final series. The league would hate that. They really would. This is a league that wants New York against LA or Boston against Golden State. These sort of matchups like that. So look, I think you're right, but I think there's probably a bit more eyes on it now. I think Indiana have done well, kind of speaking it out in the open sort of thing, and there's a little bit more sort of eyes on it now. And hopefully they get a fair rub of the calls these last two games. But yeah, I think it's going to go to 7. I'll say Knicks will win, so we'll see how that goes with Game 7. But yeah, been a good series. I'm enjoying that one. And yeah, well, let's go on to the other one. I've got to say, I'm not probably enjoying this other Eastern Conference series as much. I don't know. I'm still kind of surprised that the Cavs are there. But look, the Cavs pinched that Game 2 in Boston. Boston lost Game 2 in this series the same as they did the first round against Miami. So you wonder if it's just going to end up being a gentleman's sweep, though, Woods, 4-1. Would you think it will be a gentleman's sweep, or can you see the Cavs pinching another game?
Ooh. It's a tough one. I mean,
well, they need Mitchell back, don't they? That's a big thing for them. He missed the last game.
Is he going to be back?
I heard he's maybe a game time decision. So yeah, I mean they have to get him back in there, right?
Yeah, and the next game's in Boston, isn't it?
So 3-1 for yes.
Yeah, I'd say gentleman's sweep.
Yeah,
it hasn't been a great series. I think. It's nice to see Luke Cornett step up, play a few minutes backing up. Al Horford, he's been sort of at the end of the bench and not had a significant role to play on that Celtics team the last few years. But with the injury here to Kristaps Porzingis, you've seen like Xavier Tillman previously, Luke Cornett stepping up.
Hey, tell me, Woods, why does funky Joe Mazzulla, why does he never go with a small ball lineup? Even with Porzingis out, he has to have a big guy out there. I've heard a few people say, why don't they consider maybe playing Tatum at times in small ball lineups against other teams? But he just never does it, right? So I'd like to almost see them do that a little bit there, but I think he's obviously pretty set in his ways there. But what's your thoughts on Tatum in this series, Woods? I hear him copying a little bit of flack there. I feel like he's been a little bit up and down, but he's still putting up the numbers and leading his team there. What's your thoughts on Tatum?
Look, he's been solid, but I think if he wants to take his team to a championship, playing against the likes of the Denver Nuggets, he needs to find some consistency, and he needs to find an extra gear, right? Jaylen Brown's been actually very good.
He has been good,
your boy he's
White's dribbling a bit better this season, right?
Your boy Derek White's been good. Drew Holiday doing, he's a banker, But yeah, I think he just probably needs to take his game to another level if they're going to actually challenge the Denver Nuggets now. Most likely, yeah.
I think it's about ball movement for them. You see a lot of the times there's a lot of ISO, similar to what we've talked about the Clippers in the past. So you see a lot of Tatum standing on one of the wings and everyone else just standing still, knowing that he's going to take a few dribbles and launch a fadeaway, aka Kobe Bryant style shot there. So hopefully they can continue to click as a team there. I probably would like to see them, they're more than, if it was them against the Knicks, which is what I'm thinking will happen, I think that'd be a great Eastern Conference Finals. I could see both crowds being really, really good in that one there. So any more thoughts on the East before we move on?
Speaking of big men at 37, 38 years of age, Al Horford's playing 37, 38 minutes a game in the previous game, right? So I don't think
amazing, isn't it?
The kind of role that he expected to play on this team with Porzingis being signed,
saw
him play that many minutes in a game 3 or game 4 of a play.
Who's more handsome, Chandler Parsons or Al Horford? Who's your pick? Or Kelly Oubre as a third choice. Who are you picking out of those three?
What about Michael Porter Jr.,
Maybe. All right. We'll leave the viewers to, they can answer that one on Twitter if they want to answer that one. But all right, no worries. Well, look, I've probably been a little bit more excited about these Western Conference playoffs, I've got to say, Woods. So at the time of recording, Denver had a big win today against Minnesota. So it was the first home win for any team in this season. I believe it was a 15-point win. So they're up 3-2 now in that best of 7. And in the other series, it was a big road win by OKC yesterday to lock that series up at 2-2. They were a big chance of going down 3-1. In that one, and we know teams don't normally come back from that. So let's start off with this series between the defending champs, Woods, and the surprising Wolves. The Joker just went off today. What are your thoughts been on this series?
Never write off a champion, right? That's what I say. You're down 0-2, losing 2 games at home. A lot of people wrote them off, including me. I think there was a critical moment there, which our friends at Sport Blogs mentioned today about Murray not getting that suspension.
Yeah.
But we can't look at that. And
He should have got a game for that, shouldn't he? I know you sort of mentioned on that chat with the sports blokes, look, he doesn't have that history and stuff like that. But geez, I mean, I thought, the fact that he tried to throw a towel earlier and missed, and then threw that out on the court. It's weird. It wasn't even an ejection, or they didn't even consider it a suspension. But anyway, that's all water under the bridge now. But yeah, continue.
Yeah. And I think the defensive principles of Flip Saunders' sons, Ryan Saunders, has played a big part. He's the one who's been responsible for making those changes, right? The kind of adjustments that Malone and the coaching staff have made have been terrific. And the way they played Ant Edwards today was amazing, right? And I think it takes a lot for the coaching staff after going down so heavily in those first 2 games to make the adjustments required in a 7-game series to come back into it.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of credit has to go there. And I was saying Jamal Murray, man, like he was defended beautifully. I mean, Minnesota's played some great defense throughout this series, but it's just been better offense in the last few games from the Denver Nuggets. Jamal Murray has McDaniels all over him.
Yeah.
And he's able to make those tough shots with hands in his face all the time. And, these guys have a never say die attitude, and they're very selfless. There was that press conference the other day after game 4 when the reporter asked AG, Aaron Gordon, he had 11 from 12 the other day, right? Shooting the lights out.
He's playing great. Yeah.
They said, how do you just fit into this team and happy to take a role, do whatever is required for the team to win, that you don't want any bright lights on you or anything like that when you possibly could be, in a different scenario. And he's like, it doesn't take a lot for me to do that. He's just walked in now. The big guy's just walked in now.
Yeah.
When I play with the best player in the world, the most selfless basketball player ever, it's not hard for me to buy into that, right? And then Jerker steps in, he goes, I bailed him out, so he didn't have to answer that question properly. And it was a nice little interlude. And
just quickly on the Joker Woods, you mentioned there. So he had 40 points today. I think it was 13 assists. He had no turnovers as well. He just keeps amazing us, doesn't he? We're going to talk a little bit after we've wrapped up the playoffs just about him winning his 3rd MVP there. But how amazing is this guy?
Yeah, his IQ is unbelievable. His decision making ability. Sometimes if you're slow and you're thoughtful in life and you reflect on a situation and act accordingly, you're going to have success, right? Yeah. And I think that's what he's like that's what he's like on the basketball court, right? He's a bit slower. He'll hold the ball for a little bit, have a look at what's happening around him, survey the situation, make that pass accordingly, right?
Yeah.
And so his ability to do that and take an extra second to make a decision on how to progress and make the next move, whether it be to look for his own shot or to make a great pass or have that knack for getting that offensive rebound. He's able to be very thoughtful in his decision making, and that's what separates him from a lot of his counterparts, right? So
definitely. I love the way he attacked Rudy Gobert, aka Rudy Gobert, today as well. He was really attacking it, going straight at Gobert down the lane there, which is pretty impressive. He got a fast break dunk, which has sort of summed up the game for them as well. So he did love that, didn't he? So, looking forward to see what happens next.
Shout out to KCP. He hasn't been shooting the ball at all this whole series, right?
Yeah.
He's been playing great defense, right? Last few games. Today he was amazing on the defensive end. He actually got that steal before passing it to the Joker for that dunk. But he made, 5 of 6 from 3-point land today and really stepped up. I'm a big Caldwell Pope fan, so I think they're going to go and finish this off in 6.
I think so. Look, obviously I was hoping Minnesota might have got this series. I've got a lot of guys I like on that team, but probably ultimately I'd like to see Denver get back there. They're a really fun team to watch there. I think if it ended up being Denver, Boston, Denver, New York, something like that, I could definitely get down with that series there. But look, that's not discounting out this last series we've got to talk about because there's 2 great teams there. One of those teams could certainly go through and make the NBA Finals there. So talking about Mavericks and Thunder there, Woods, tied at 2-2. Massive game by SGA there. With the team getting that road win yesterday. Really shaky free throw shooting by Dallas, which ultimately kind of cost him the game. I think they might have missed double-figure free throws, which is pretty unheard of in an NBA game. But what's give me some quick thoughts on this series? What you're thinking about this one?
It's been more of a tussle than you would think, right? Both these teams are free-flowing teams, and you've got scores around the 100 mark.
Yeah.
Both great coaches, right? And it's been a bit of a chess game here. Josh Giddey obviously being almost unplayable at times, being taken out of the lineup. I think 12 from 23, I think it was from memory yesterday from the free throw line. You've got to be able to make your free throws in clutch situations. We saw Chet Holmgren step up to the line and make some clutch free throws. And I think that's where the difference was, because they were ahead for most of that game, and really it should be 3-1 now, and Dallas should be looking to close this series out. But it ends up being 2-all.
So it's that classic best of 3 game series now, right?
Yeah, definitely. And Kyrie Irving, I mean, they need more from Kyrie on the offensive end, right?
Hey, his defense has been really good though, hasn't it?
Amazing.
Really good, yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, he's been
surprised me. Yeah.
Terrific. And he's been committed to that end of the floor. But, you know, 4 from 11 shot attempts for 9 points this game.
Yeah.
The previous game, I think let me just double check that. Go on, give us your thoughts while I just check.
Well, I was going to sort of end up with maybe who do you think wins this series? So I'll start off. Look, I think it's going to go to 7, and I do think OKC with that home court advantage will get it. So I think that each home team might win now. I can see Dallas definitely firing up in Game 6. Maybe Luka putting in a big effort, maybe getting a 40-point game or something. But I think OKC can do it if it goes to that Game 7. We know they're a young team, but they've got a great fan base, a great crowd there, and wouldn't that be a great success story for them? Not making the playoffs last year. I'm right in saying that, right? And then Dallas didn't make it either, I think, from memory. So, look, if they were to sort of, OKC, it's probably a year ahead of maybe where they thought they'd be. But, yeah, who's winning it for you?
I'm going to say Dallas in 7. Yep. I mean, Dallas seemed like the better team of the first 4 games. Kyrie's averaging around 15, 16 points a game. Not enough shot attempts. I think they could get a little bit more from him. Actually, Dallas didn't even make the play-in last year. OKC made the play-in.
That's right. Yeah.
I'm going to say Dallas in 7. Yeah.
What's your over and under for how many times Luka will complain to the refs in the next 3 games? Would you say over or under 20 times?
It's just becoming like... It's a bad look for him.
It's not
been
good,
a bad look for him.
Yeah, it's got worse. It has got worse. Yeah. Well, it's just a classic thing. We've talked about this in our local comps over the years, Woods. You just know if you continue carrying like that, you're not going to get the next 50-50 call. If there's a chance that the ref can get a call against you because you've just been on, chewing the air all night, you're not going to get that call. So I don't think it's going to change with him now. I think it's just the way he plays. I love the passion that he plays with, but yeah, it's very noticeable. I even heard Bill Simmons come out. He's a massive Luka fan. I heard that on the recent podcast with him saying it's just gone a little bit too far now with the way he complains and that. So
was it him or Kevin O'Connor said he'd probably shoot a 3 and it would be nothing but net, and he'd still look angry.
He probably would, yeah, probably right. No, so anyway, we've got some really good series. I think maybe only that Boston Cavs series is the only one that I can see finishing pretty quickly, but the other ones I do think will probably go the distance there. And so maybe for Boston, if they can get that win, potentially get some time for someone like KP to get healthy and come back for at least the conference finals anyway. But yeah, looking forward to that, Woods. A little bit more NBA. I know we've got some classic packs to come, so I'll try and get through this a little bit quick. But look, we had to mention it, Woods. The NBA draft lottery happened this week. I'd actually forgotten about it, to be honest, because the Hawks pick was so low. It wasn't even really on my radar. Got a message from my brother that next morning saying, maybe Hawks will draft Sarr at number 1. I'm like, what? We got the number 1 pick. So pretty amazing effort, right? So for those that hasn't seen the results, the NBA draft lottery has definitely evolved over the years to try and stop teams from tanking. So you saw the 2 bottom teams in the league in Detroit and Washington. They potentially had a 14% chance each to get that number 1 pick. Our Hawks Woods had a 3% chance, and they ended up getting through the last 4, and that was pretty amazing. I heard Landry Fields, the Hawks GM, saying, "Oh man, if we could have got the 4th pick, what an amazing achievement that could be," and ended up going their way, and they will have the number 1 pick in next month's NBA draft. So just rounding out, I'll give you maybe the top 5 there. So Atlanta, Washington, Houston, San Antonio, and Detroit. So Detroit, I guess, really were the big losers there, sliding from the top odds to 5th. And Hawks, obviously, the only teams that had a lesser chance than them percentage-wise were Chicago, Houston, Sacramento, and Golden State. So kind of the order of those teams that got knocked out of the play-in. But look, a lot of people are obviously saying, Woods, this is one of the weakest drafts in some time. And look, we're probably not both college experts. We're certainly experts on these next stars that played in the NBL. But what do you think will happen with the Hawks there? Will they draft someone like Alex Sarr, or will they potentially look to package this deal with one of our gun point guards and try and upgrade somewhere else?
Look, is Alex Sarr a consensus number 1 pick? I don't think so.
I don't think so, no.
The guy like Stephon Castle, a guy who plays on the wing, I'm going to have to do a little bit more research to tell you how we go about this. What are they going to do with Trey? These are all questions that'll dictate who we take. I think we could probably dedicate another episode for us talking about how we should approach this draft and who we should get.
I'm sure we will do that, yeah.
And after doing a little bit more research. But I don't think we should take Alex Sarr, personally, right? I don't think we should. right?
I'll tell you why we should, Woods. So maybe I'm putting my Wildcats, Stan hat on there. But we've got two good big guys, right? Clint Capella and Onyeka Okongwu. What's something that both those guys can't do? They can't shoot to save themselves, right? Like, we could probably put a blindfold on the two of us and we'd probably shoot better than those guys. So Alex Sarr is a good shooter, right? And he's a great defender. I think that's a good, I didn't say great, good shooter. So 7'5" wingspan. He's only 19 years of age. He's still learning the game. But he seems like a very coachable sort of guy there. So I like the upside that someone could give the Hawks. We saw our defense wasn't great. Probably a lot of people say that's due to our point guard in Trey there. But look, obviously I don't want Trey to be traded. I love the guy playing there. So I'd like to see them draft Sarr there. I think he's someone that could contribute there. It's not going to be a number one pick that comes in and does, what Wemby did last year, or, even a few years ago with guys like LaMelo Ball, Ant Edwards, those sort of guys that are already, elite players there. But we'll see what happens. I'm sure there'll be a lot of rumours, and we'll definitely do some more talk on the show prior to that draft about what might happen with those picks. But yeah, I thought we'd just sort of mention it anyway. Woods, I think I heard that there's only been 3 times that the number one pick has been traded. So I think, Weber was one of those ones, right?
Hardaway, yep.
Yeah, so it's certainly not something that often happens there. But here's the thing. Wiggins, that's right, for LeBron, yeah. I guess the other thing to consider is as well, the Hawks are not doing too great with the salary cap at the moment as well. The number one pick, you do have to pay more. There's a sliding scale there. So do they try and be a little bit of penny pinching there and try and maybe they can trade the number one pick for, I don't know, the 7th pick and then a solid player from another team. I heard Ryan Russillo say on the recent podcast that there's teams out there saying that they wouldn't even trade their 3rd or 4th starter for the number one pick in this year's draft. So that's pretty remarkable to hear that. And I think they gave the example of someone like Lou Dort. Would they trade that? No, probably wouldn't. So it kind of shows you what we're dealing with this sort of draft here. But look, they've said this about drafts in the past, haven't they, Woods? And they've ended up being good there. So we'll watch that with interest. But yeah, I thought we'd mention that. Shout out to the Hawks getting a number one pick. I think David Thompson was their only other number one pick, and that was kind of potentially
1975.
Yeah, I think he was drafted in the NBA and in the ABA, so and he never actually played for the Hawks, of course. The same with Julius Erving, he was there but didn't end up playing there. So pretty huge moment. Just a shame it's not a year earlier, but anyway, it is what it is. We'll certainly take that luck. Can't complain. And look, we'll finish off this NBA chat before Classic Packs, Woods. We've mentioned the man previously on the show, but the Joker earned his 3rd MVP award since we recorded last week. That came out. So he got 79 out of the 99 first place votes. Apparently there was a voter that forgot to submit his ballot there. So what an absolute muppet that guy was. So SJ finished 2nd with 15 first place votes, and Luke rounded out the top 3. I don't think any of us are going to complain about that, right? Much deserved, would you say?
Should be his 4th.
Yeah, I thought you might say that. Yeah.
He's the best player in the world. He's the greatest passing big man the game of basketball has ever seen, and his ability to affect his team winning ball games is amazing. Right?
Yeah.
He's the best player on the best team, and he's so valuable to their success. Well deserved.
So humble as well, right? It's just great to see someone. He doesn't even want to talk about that sort of stuff, does he? He just wants to talk about the team and everything. It's pretty good to see in this day and age. But I thought we sort of should mention that. One thing we might need to do was just go back, maybe in a couple of episodes' time, and go through our predictions for the season and see where we're sort of placed with those there. I'm not sure. I can't even remember.
We'll have to have Stewie on there. We'll have
to have Stewie and go sort of be honest with our picks and how we sort of went there. So, all right, good stuff. Well, look, we didn't have Classic Packs last week. We had an action-packed show, but we're back this week. I've got no idea what you've got for me, so
okay, I've got the 1990, the inaugural edition of Skybox cards. There was a little on Twitter and Instagram. There's a little video which circulated about the launch date in 1990 or 1989. It might have been for these cards. 1990, I think it was. So this pack is 35 years old.
That's crazy, eh? I'm always up for some Skybox, you know that.
Yeah, let's do it. I can find hard to open these without
that crisp opening sound through the microphone just so people know it's a legit pack, right?
There you go. I got the crispness there. All right. This man was a great shooter. This is his Charlotte Hornets card. We remember him at the Phoenix Suns. He's a white guy. Yep.
Nice.
Chapman.
Still got, I think I've mentioned it, I'm sure I've mentioned it before because I had this guy's card a lot, but that dunk comp when he ran up and he did the round the back pass and then he did that little sort of reverse sort of thing. I love that dunk. Such a simple dunk, but I like that dunk. He was a good player. I remember that out of bounds shot he had for Phoenix, I think it was, the right hand baseline when he was falling out of bounds and got a game winner in, so that was great.
Awesome. I've got a checklist here. Golden State Warriors, which we're going to rip up, right? But
All right.
maybe
Ooh,
before we do that, I might ask
okay.
you. This was the 1990 team. Give me a few names that you can think of that was on that roster in Golden
This is where we
State.
need one of those things with like the tick or the right or the wrong buzzer sort of thing. So 1990. So Chris Mullin,
Yep.
Terry Teagle,
No.
Tim Hardaway,
Yep.
Mitch Richmond,
Yep.
Billy Owens,
No. That's 93.
Sarunas Marciulionis.
Yep.
Any real obvious ones I've forgotten?
Crazy white guy.
Uh, Tom Talbot wasn't on there.
Tom Talbot.
Tom Talbot. Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Nailed that one.
You got Rod Higgins, Mike
Yeah.
Srek, Tyrone Hill, Steve
Yeah.
Johnson,
Well, I wouldn't have got Steve Johnson. But yeah, Tyrone Hill, that's another good one.
and
yeah.
head coach
Nice. So none other than Don Nelson himself.
Don Nelson himself.
Probably in a cloud of smoke somewhere right now.
All right. New York City point guard. This is legend from New York City. I often don't enjoy Van Gundy that much when he's commentating. I think I mentioned to you offline today, but I really enjoy the banter between Van Gundy and this guy when they're commentating together.
Shout out to Golden State as well, right? So former coach there, Mark Jackson.
Mark Jackson.
Nice. Look at that card. Loving those. Show us the back one of those, Woods. It's got the picture on the back as well. I got the full studio shot there with the nice sort of skivvy thing on. Nice.
All right, awesome. New York Knicks legend. I think I might have seen him in the crowd for one of the games earlier this year. Not Tim Thomas, but same initials as Tim Thomas. 6'5" guard.
Trent Tucker. Yeah.
Trent Tucker.
Great 3-point shooter back in the day. The former Bull as well. Yeah.
Okay. Miami Heat draft pick. A lottery pick for Miami.
Willie Burton.
Billy Burton. Well done.
How's my form today? I love those rookie cards that year,
They're
Woods. I remember we got a Gary Payton one, I think, in one of the packs.
awesome.
Is that got a picture on the back of that as well? Or has it got
No.
No, okay. So it's just the front. They're great looking cards for sure. Yeah. Another one of those random 50-point players, right, Willie Burton?
Yep. Yeah, he was. I talked about Boston Celtics center playing a more prominent role this year, right? After the injury to Kristaps Porzingis. His namesake from the Bucks was who?
You're talking about Luke Cornett?
Yep.
Was there a Cornett for the Bucks back in the day, or is there a Luke?
No relation. Frank Cornett.
Oh wow! Yeah, geez, yeah, no relation, right? Yeah,
6'9".
Those Bucks teams had some big white guys back in the day, didn't they?
Yeah.
Frank Brakowski and sort of Sigma and those sort of guys. Yeah, nice.
Yeah. Okay, another checklist. Orlando Magic checklist card.
Do your trivia again.
Man.
Do you want to name some players on that team? Orlando.
Yeah, name some
Otis
players on
Smith.
that team. Say again?
So Otis Smith.
Otis Smith. Yep.
Otis Smith.
Yep.
Nick Anderson.
Yep.
Terry Catledge.
Yep.
Brian Shaw.
Yep. No,
Dennis,
no Brian Shaw. No Brian Shaw.
Dennis Scott, or am I too early?
Scott, yep.
3D was there. Shout out to 3D. Mark Akers.
Yep.
Jerry Reynolds.
Yep.
Going right here, right? Any main ones I've forgotten there? Or?
Scott Skiles.
Yeah, of course. Shout out to the 29 assist game, whatever it was.
Greg Kite. Mark McNamara.
Well, Gregory Fuller Kite. How did I not remember that? One of my favourites. Gregory Fuller. Yeah.
Mark McNamara. And then the coach was?
Jimmy Rogers?
Matt
Matt Gukas. Matt Gukas, yeah. Yeah, nice. Not bad. Right, going back 33 years to remember a few of them.
All right. Chicago Bulls. Just 1 sec, Robbie.
I don't know what he's doing. Is he going to pull out a prop? Is this like dog related? I want to see if there's an interesting story here. Maybe he's going to pull out a Matt Gukas like bit of memorabilia or something. I never know, right?
Okay. Hit a big shot for the Bulls. He's known for the big shot. You know, he was on that on those initial three-peat Bulls teams. Guard who then went to the front office.
John Paxson.
John Paxson.
Yeah, he was a great shooter ahead of his time back in the day, wasn't he? Couldn't do a whole lot else there. Him and his brother Jim Paxson were sort of similar players in the NBA in that era.
Hall of Famer, big man. Great footwork for the Boston Celtics. Also, Kevin McHale. Yes.
Nice. Yeah, he was a great player. He's been guarded by none other than Mike Jaminski by the looks of that photo there, with his mullet. Shout out to Mike Jaminski.
Speaking of Matt Gukas.
Oh, wow. It's a Matt Gukas special, yeah. Nice. Haven't heard that name for a while, right?
Yep. Yeah. The mayor of Sacramento.
Oh, KJ. Kevin Johnson. Funny thing was, when I was looking through my jerseys the other day, I saw my Phoenix Suns KJ. I thought, I've got to rock that on the show one week. I love watching that guy play. I love that dunk he did over Akeem back in the day. So, yeah,
great jersey.
Yeah, great jersey. Almost an underrated player, even though he is a Hall of Famer. He was a killer back in the day.
When you talk about great,
not at all.
That generation, he
gets forgotten about, but mate, he would serve it up to all those guys, wouldn't he?
Yeah, for sure. His teammate, lethal shooter. Then went on to play.
No. Jeff Hornacek.
Hornacek.
Well, Hornacek they call it, but yeah, he was horny anyway. Yeah, look at those shorts as well, Woods. Jeez.
Well, I thought it was Hornacek till he became a coach, and then all the commentators said Hornacek, right?
Interesting. I think that's a pronunciation thing, maybe like a tomato and tomato thing, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Is it back rigged? We got Don Nelson. So we got the Golden State checklist, we got the Orlando checklist, and we got both their coaches, right?
He's daydreaming, thinking about what munchies he's getting after the game. I reckon in that one.
For sure. Okay. Underrated big man from the 90s. In popular culture, he's known by a lot of people. He does a lot of TV hosting and acting. He's known for a role in Eddie, I think.
Oh, John Sally.
Celtics legend, John Sally.
The Spider. Yeah, he's been in quite a few shows. He was in some of the Bad Boys movies as well, wasn't he? He was like the tech guy in those. There's a new Bad Boys movie coming out in a few weeks. I wonder if he'll be in it. Wonder if he'll make an appearance, right? Yeah.
Can't wait. That's not coming out on the 6th of June or something. Might be in the cinemas to watch, right?
Could be a good one, yeah.
Okay, This is a great card. Very, very controversially left off the Dream Team. One of the great point guards of all time.
Zeke, the original Isaiah Thomas. Mate, put some good ones in this, right? Kevin McHale, Isaiah Thomas, Kevin Johnson. So got a couple of big names in this one, as well as some Matt Gukas and Orlando related stuff.
Yeah, Willie Burton, and Tucker. That was nice.
Yeah, that was good. How'd I go?
Very, very good, man. Willie Burton, really good there.
Nice, you like that one. You like some of those Orlando Magic guys, Mark Akers. I know you like that one.
Right? Yeah, you missed Greg Kite, though.
Gregory Fuller, how did I miss that? Shout out to him. Yeah. Well, look, that was really fun, Woods. Look, obviously, we started off with the show, talking a little bit about Corey Williams and, just rest in peace again. I'm sure it's someone that we will speak about on future shows there, just with the legacy that he's left there. Who knows? Maybe that jersey will make another appearance on the show as well, Woods. It'd be nice to see one day. I don't think there's a lot of those jerseys going around, so I think you got a lot of love on Twitter for that.
The original ones.
How did you even get that back in the day? Because you couldn't order them on the NBL store. Was that like direct from like a Townsville Crocs? It was, right?
Because literally within weeks of within a month or two,
because there wasn't an NBL store back then, was it? It was only if a club store had it, and they might have only had one player, maybe two, if you're lucky that you could actually order something. So I'm glad that it still fits you as well after all these years with a little bit of a weight gain over the years. Nice. Well, look, as I mentioned at the start of the show, please make sure you like, rate, and subscribe on YouTube. Really appreciate everyone's support. If you want to follow us on social media, on X, we're at Throwback Hoops, Instagram, throwback.hoops, email address is throwbackhoopspodcast@gmail.com. Feel free to comment jerseys you want us to wear, who's the most handsome out of those guys I mentioned, any Gregory Fuller kite stories, anything else like that, what you thought of my hat, any of these sort of things, right? Any sort of feedback you want to give. Of course, Patreon, if anyone wants to pledge a few dollars a month to help with the production of this show, we'd really appreciate it. Any final thoughts for you, Woods?
Just it's nice we did this tribute to Homicide.
Yeah.
As you said, he'll always be remembered. Rest in peace, Corey Homicide Williams. Can't thank you enough for the service you've given to Australia and Australian basketball. Until we do this all again next week, peace out.
Well said, Woods. Yeah, can't wait to do it all again next week. A lot more to talk about these playoffs, and we'll see you all soon.